Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to my F1 2019 mod career mode here, driving as Charles Leclerc in his Scuderia Ferrari car for round number 3 at the Chinese Grand Prix at Shanghai. If you guys did miss episode number 2 at the Bahrain GP, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. The results were a little bit better than what happened to Charles Leclerc in real life, but like I said in that episode at the beginning, we're going to be speeding up this series, of course, to try and finish out the season before the actual F1 2019 game comes out late June. So you'll be seeing, hopefully, at least 2 episodes of this series per week there. Be sure to hit that notification bell to never miss a video in your sub box here. But let's get straight into it then and talk about the Chinese Grand Prix. Overcast conditions, it seems, here at the moment. I would expect our car to go pretty well. Obviously, we saw a major improvement from Australia to Bahrain, but now, obviously, is the time where we're going into the unknown, a stab into the dark, basically. We don't know how the real-life form is going to be for the Ferrari, the Merc, the Red Bull, and the entire grid, really. So now it's really just down to what happens with the cars in-game, how they react to China. Hopefully the Ferrari should be pretty good, but the Mercedes has been pretty good at China as a kind of form guide, you know, front-limited circuit, and the Mercedes cars have always been good at those kind of front-limited tracks. So we're going to move into qualifying then and see how things go. In the first few turns, I felt pretty good, but also a little bit of nagging understeer for me, at least, in the car versus Sebastian Vettel, who at the moment is in P1. I'm in P6 in this one-shot qualifying, of course, that we're running to allow the 2019 mod to work properly. That's the only way we can do it in qualifying. So through the last corner is really where I make up some time to get up into P4, it would seem, but I don't think it's going to be any higher across the line, and yet it's giving my teammate for a second time in a row on pole position there for Sebastian Vettel. We're down in P4 on the second row. So this is how the full starting grid will look like here for this 2019 Chinese Grand Prix, round 3 of the season. Vettel on pole position. It's Lewis Hamilton, his bitter rival, in second place. Gasly does another stunning performance of the Red Bull Honda to get up into P3. Valtteri Bottas is there in P5 alongside Verstappen. Then comes Carlos Sainz, Hülkenberg, Raikkonen, and Ricciardo for the top 10. Then it's an all row of Haas, and then you've got Sergio Perez and Lando Norris sharing a row. Then you've got Danica Fiat in P15 in the first, Toro Rosso alongside Lance Stroll in the second Racing Point car. Then you've got Antonio Giovinazzi, Alex Albon, and then you've got on the last row, surprise, surprise, the 2 Williams of Ron Kubica and George Russell. So it's nearly showtime then for race day here on Sunday. Still overcast. You can see it's going to be overcast the entire episode, so quite a gloomy picture you guys are going to be seeing for the entire thing. But nonetheless, at least no rain. It's going to hamper our progress perhaps from P4, because clearly the car has the pace to be on pole, but I just wasn't really feeling the pace within me, at least compared to Sebastian Vettel. It's going to be a 2-stop probably, because those ultras really don't go a long way, and the tyre wear is going to be pretty horrendous. I just don't think we can probably pull off a 1-stop to really try and challenge the Merc and the Red Bull here. So we're just going to stick to the default strategy and maybe just play around with some undercuts perhaps. But let's just get into this then as we go towards 5 red lights for round number 3 of this 2019 mod career mode. As Charles Leclerc, 4 lights are out and we're underway for the Chinese Grand Prix. It's a fantastic start there, it would seem, for Lewis Hamilton. Vettel's bogged down quite a fair bit from pole position. We're going to try and send one to the inside of the Frenchman there, down the inside of turn 1 of the Red Bull. Hamilton does the same. He's going to try and shove Vettel off the road. Vettel's scared a little bit there and actually parks in front of me, and we make some contact, and actually that puts me off and allows Gasly back through, and Gasly really aggressive there on the way to try and cut me off, and so we dip a tyre into the grass. We're now under attack from Valtteri Bottas there. He's clearly eaten his porridge, I think, this morning as he tries to go around the outside of Gasly. We go down the inside of the Frenchman, and we actually end up both overtaking him. So me and Bottas work as a tandem team kind of there to get the Frenchman, and so we're up into P3 once more. Bottas up into P4, and now Gasly's having to do some defensive work against his teammate Verstappen as we now move on though to lap 3. This is DRS enabled. Not too much happening for me at this stage of the Grand Prix now. Trying to settle in, try and catch up to Vettel, who's been getting away a little bit. You saw there, he set a purple lap time straight after Hamilton. So both these guys, Hamilton and Vettel, much like 2017 at China, pushing each other quite hard around Shanghai for those purple lap times at the moment here, and we're actually not really getting anywhere close to Vettel. We're actually kind of falling away a little bit, so these tyres already, the tyre weight's kicking in basically. You can see there on the bottom right, I accepted a change of strategy from my engineer. He wants me to pit in this lap, so lap 3, pretty damn early, but the default strategy was only 1 lap later, lap 4, and to be honest, I'm really not feeling the grip on these ultras. I think the track conditions being a little bit overcast also is not helping things, you know, maybe slightly colder on the track temps as well, so the grip just isn't there for me, at least in this understeering Ferrari, it would seem. And this car definitely feels a bit more like it did at Australia in episode 1 than it did last episode at Bahrain, where I had so much grip that I was able to make a very aggressive strategy work, of course, compared to my my teammate and the likes of Hamilton and Verstappen. So we come in for an earlier pit stop now and hoping the undercar and maybe the soft tyres will be the better race tyre for us. I would imagine so, because the Ultras are so, fine basically at China. They're very much almost like qualifying tyres in a way here around Shanghai. So we come out then, hopefully in some clean air. Yeah, it looks like we just get ahead of a car of Lance Stroll. We've got plenty of clean air to try and catch up to Alex Albon there in the Toro Rosso as we move on and swing through the kind of slingshot corner towards the back straight on lap 4. You can see though the understeer is still very much there with me, having to lift off a little bit and then plant the power. But here we go then, down the right hand side, DRS open after we basically make the move, so we just pull away from the Toro Rosso, man, and we're up into P16. We've got some more clean air to work with before we catch up to the Alfa Romeo racing car of Antonio Giovinazzi. So let's see if we can try and gain any sort of time on Hamilton or Vettel. Probably obviously more so Vettel, because he was the man in P2, but you never know. I don't know if Vettel closed right up to Hamilton in the last lap or so. We'll have to see as we go down the main straight. Where are the cars there? Doesn't look like they've actually pit quite yet. I think Vettel is yet to pit. Hamilton's pit, because he's there just ahead of Giovinazzi, actually. So Vettel, interesting, going on for a lot longer then. Lap 5, very peculiar, actually, because I would have thought he might have had the same sort of tyre wear issues as me, being in the same car, but clearly not. So maybe that's just a struggle I'm going to have to deal with this entire Grand Prix then, being a bit harsher on my tyres compared to Sebastian. But Hamilton has made his pit stop. He's only just ahead of Giovinazzi, but we need to get past the Italian man here. Hopefully he doesn't make it too difficult, being in the kind of effective Ferrari B team, I guess you could say. We go around the outside, trying to find the grip. It wasn't actually a place I was planning to make an overtake, but he just invited me to go through around the outside there, and it was a pretty damn actually nice move and quite satisfying to have the grip around the outside there, compared to the lack of grip compared to my teammate and Hamilton. So we now move on to lap 6. Where is Vettel? There he is, finally out the pits there, and we're actually being very close. So we have actually gained a little bit there. We're going to go round the outside and sail around for P effective 2 in the Grand Prix, remember, but Vettel comes back, he chops us off, he pushes us onto the curbing, and so once again, it's Vettel v Leclerc here at the Chinese Grand Prix. Round 3, we squeeze him to the right-hand side, but he keeps his elbows out there. He's still side by side with us there on the outside. We kicked out some dust and some grass. We try and go again on the outside. Vettel leaves us the room. We've got a bit of oversteer to make some contact with his side pod now. Flat out commitment into the left before the fast right then, and Vettel's going to be off on the marbles, and we're going to cut across, get that position, and like I said, be up into a net P2 eventually once we make our way through the traffic that is not yet pit in this Grand Prix. All the midfield cars that are yet to pit because they started on a harder compound of tyres, but it's not over yet because Vettel now finds amazing traction off that double left-hander, sails down the inside and then chops me off just about. Brilliant racing there from Sebastian Vettel, and to be fair, he's just done me there. He just cut across. I couldn't do anything. If I stuck my nose in, that would have been contact, and that would have been a bit of a Ferrari Civil War situation, and that would have been way too early in the season for anything like that. So Vettel is away, and I've used quite a lot of ERS there, so I'm going to go down to none, and I think at this stage I can already tell this is not a fight I need to be in, because Vettel clearly has the better pace right now. I'm on, more worn tyres, so I may as well chill out a little bit. We've got traffic to overtake later on, so I'm going to try and save ERS and save fuel tactically right now to try and come back at Vettel and maybe Hamilton if we all get caught up in traffic. You can see there is a lot of traffic. You've got the battle for P2 between a Haas and Racing Point car, Toro Rosso in P4. There is Hamilton P5, who has overtaken Lando Norris in the McLaren, but all these guys, these midfield cars, they're all on soft tyres yet to pit, and then here we are, Vettel and myself driving as Leclerc, catching up to this traffic. So it's only a matter of time maybe that we get an opportunity to overtake these guys potentially as they get held up by midfield cars, and that time might just come now as we cut on later now. And you can see Vettel trying to overtake Danica Fiat in the Toro Rosso, so trying to just be a little bit patient here, but I think this is the time where we can make some moves. And you can see up ahead Danica Fiat's been squeezed out quite awkwardly by Vettel, so lost a lot of pace there, and that Toro Rosso is also not liking those worn tyres, it would seem. So we go waltzing round the outside to the inside for the double left-hander, able to squeeze him out. Very weird place to make a move at Shanghai, but you can see the tyre wear difference and the grip difference kicking in there between the Ferrari and Toro Rosso as well, and it'll be the same case for the next cars up. But Vettel has already got his way past Norris at this stage, so we haven't even watched him overtake him because he's already done the job on the back straight. But we go to the inside of Lando Norris. He's just getting out of the way. There's no point for him fighting really too much in that McLaren, because I imagine most of these guys are probably trying one stops from softs to mediums basically, which is obviously very viable at China when you're not on the ultras. which kind of forces you in a way to do a two-stop. But you can see there, only 3 cars ahead is Lewis Hamilton. He's finding it tricky to overtake the Haas car, and Vettel is yet to get past Sergio Perez. So now as we slingshot onto the back straight, we might have a very good chance for a double toe here, you know. We're overtake mode, rich mix. We're a little bit low on fuel, so we'll have to save fuel later on, but we're going to go for this now. It might be 3 wide into the hairpin as Perez gives me a toe, then Vettel. There you go, the double toe down the inside. Can we make it? We're a little bit cautious under braking. Lock up on the front right, take a lot of curb. Vettel leaves us the room though, but ultimately he stays ahead in P5, but we get the job done at least on Sergio Perez, the Racing Point car, and now we follow through. Vettel on the last corner, have a good exit. We'll have DRS on Sebastian, so now can we make an aggressive move maybe to the inside of turn 1? It's going to have to be bold to make this work and commit really to the corner. We go a little bit cautious at the very entry, but then we commit, swipe across him, and basically cut off the racing line. Vettel pretty much gives up the place in a way. I was expecting him to fight maybe a little bit more, but he gives up the place, kind of like I gave up the place earlier. So you can see the respect we have as teammates so far in this season. So far, round 3 only. It's early days in the season, but now we go ahead and overtake Romain Grosjean. He's already been overtaken by Hamilton very easily, so we are now up into P3 on the road. Hamilton P2 and P1 is Magnussen. Obviously that will eventually not be the case because he'll come in, but actually he's yet to come in right now on lap lap 11, and so we might have a chance here. You can see I'm really wrestling the car because the tyre wear is kicking in for us now, because we're only maybe 4 laps away from making our second pit stop of the afternoon. So the tyres are still are starting to lose a little bit of grip, and compared to the Mercedes car, it seems like I'm struggling a little bit compared to Hamilton, who seems pretty planted out there. But here we go now. It could be another 3 wide situation, but actually we get a much better exit on the Mercedes car there. We might overtake him a lot earlier than we did on Vettel and Perez, as we are 3 wide for a split second. Now it's 2 by 2, and Hamilton actually doesn't have the straight line speed there. The Ferrari engine's working wonders. We swoop to the inside there aggressively, lock up on the front right, doesn't help us, and that invites Hamilton to the outside, but we're going to squeeze him out into the last corner. But now look at the bottom right. I've not got a lot of ERS to play with, neither do I have a lot of fuel. We're a standard mixture, and so now as we go to turn 1, Hamilton might have a very good run. Obviously he has DRS, I do not, and that DRS might be the overwhelming factor as he goes round the outside, so close to making contact with our front left tyre to his side pod, but we just about do the job and squeeze him out, and so we do remain in P1, the race lead of the Chinese Grand Prix. Didn't think I was going to be saying that at the start of this Grand Prix, the way things were going, to be honest, but we live to fight another day at this Grand Prix. Lap 14 then, and Hamilton will come back at this for a second time now on the outside of turn 1, and again we're going to be on the inside and have that racing line, that better defensive line to really just keep him off there. So right now with the traffic finally making their pit stops, you can see in the top left there, it is myself as Leclerc, Hamilton second place, and Sebastian Vettel third. But we go defensive now to the hairpin as Hamilton tries again. We lock up very badly on the front right, and the tyre wear is very much kicking in now, and it should do because we're actually going to pit this lap actually, so maybe just on time. I'm starting to lock up quite badly there as we're going to come in on this as it's our in lap. So Vettel will get up into P2, Hamilton P1. They're quite close on the minimap, you know, so Vettel might have a good chance of overtaking Hamilton down the back straight. We can keep it within 1 second on this lap 16. Meanwhile, we're in the pits now for our second pit stop onto another set of soft tyres then, and hopefully again we're in some clean air to try and keep ahead of Hamilton and get an undercut basically, try and get away from him basically and try and solidify that P1 we were in. So we come out there lap P6 this is ahead of Daniel Ricciardo, it looks like there, so you can see the major difference between the top 3 teams and then the Formula B midfield team, as Ricciardo's only just behind us and he's yet to make his second stop I believe in this Grand Prix. But now we move on to lap 17 then, 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Hamilton has made his pit stop and we're going to come out ahead of him. There he is, the silver arrow is behind us then. Vettel again extends his stint by 1 more lap, so let's see how this goes then. Down the back straight, we've got some ERS to play around with this time, so overtake mode, stand mixture though, because we're still on the teetering edge of fuel, so I don't want to really risk it too much with too much rich mix. But Hamilton has some good grip there, dive bombs it around the outside to my surprise actually, and so he jostles for position and he's actually on the inside there, so that took me by a major surprise. I actually got the move done, but through the last corner I'm not worried because we should have DRS, and the exit and the DRS, actually the effectiveness of DRS into turn 1 is so good, and instead of like the AI have done, we're going to go to the inside then, and oh no, look at that though, the surprise here is Sebastian Vettel though, as we go down the inside of Hamilton and try and get back into what is now P2, Vettel managed to jump both of us there, so the overcut has worked amazing for Vettel, and he's into P1 as we only just about managed to get into P2 again. We're going to have to cut across Hamilton. He doesn't have the speed, though, into the intersector one to actually pull alongside me there, thankfully. So it's a 1-2 now for Ferrari, but not the way I imagined it here. And now as we move on to the back straight, we've got overtake mode at the moment there. We can't keep in rich mix for the entire straight. I have to put it back down to standard mixture. But Hamilton is gaining quite a fair bit there late on in the straight with DRS, and he's going to send one to the inside. Proximity arrow goes red, so he's alongside me. I just can't see him at this phase of the corner. There he is, just flashing into view. And so we're on the inside still, but he's still there on my right, and he's going to make a big dive on the outside. We make contact there. Our tyres touch a little bit, and he nearly spins me round at the final corner. Hamilton gets a second bite of the cherry of DRS to pull away, and now out of nowhere, Pierre Gasly is going to attack us to the inside with the Red Bull Honda there. So after being kind of away and not in this race for a lot of this Grand Prix after the first stint, Gasly gets back into this Grand Prix, and he's going to squeeze us into the left-hander just like with Vettel, but this time I get my elbows out here compared to the fight with Vettel, and we pull back alongside, get good grip and traction there on Hamilton. Has waltzed away quite a fair bit, you can see, as we move on to the back straight now, lap number 19, and Gasly's going to come knocking with DRS there. We pull to the right to try and defend, but that Honda engine with the DRS at China just breezes past us. Don't have much to answer for it. We get oh so dangerously close to breaking our front wing there as I kind of awkwardly misjudged the brake zone. But I don't know what's happening. I think my tyres are going off or something like that, because at the moment the grip is just not there and the confidence in the car is not there. Clearly compared to Vettel. I mean, look how far Vettel is now on the minimap there. So all this fighting's not helping, but I just don't have the pace compared to Sebastian. He's just out driving me in the same car in this race compared to basically vice versa at Bahrain, I guess, in a way. So kind of, you know, half and half makes a bit of karma there in a way. But we do increase our pace a little bit with a PB until lap 22. But that's pretty much where the good news ends, because although I do gain a bit on Gasly on this lap 22, you can see there some understeer kicks in. The balance is off whack a little bit in turn 2 is where we nearly go completely off there. And so now I'm just trying my best to hang on to the back of Gasly, but I actually just don't have the pace. I just don't think I have the pace. And so as we move on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, we're so far back from Gasly now. We've had to also turn down the engine because I tried to use some rich mix to gain back to Gasly, but eventually had to try and save some fuel, and we're still even in the negative on fuel, and we're burning our ERS quite rapidly. So Sebastian Vettel is going to go ahead and cross the line to win the Chinese Grand Prix. He's also going to get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, get one more point on the last lap of the Grand Prix. We make a mare of the last corner and come home through for P4, where we started this entire race at the beginning.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Here's our winner, pulling their Ferrari into Parc Fermé. What a fantastic race it was. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
And as we can see, it's time for the podium, and as the drivers make their way out, there's a familiar red suit making its way to the top step. Fantastic win for Ferrari.
So in the end, a slightly frustrating Grand Prix for myself there, and I pretty much just got outdriven by my teammate for the first time in a long while on this game. Sebastian Vettel just outdid me there, and he deserved to win that Grand Prix. Really had some supreme pace, especially in that last stint, really to pull away from Hamilton the way he did in our entire train, really. And so he gets P1 and onto the fast lap of the Grand Prix, so 26 points, the maximum available at the Chinese Grand Prix. Hamilton P2, Gasly P3, does the job, unlike in real life, compared to his teammate Verstappen there for a podium. I think Verstappen and Gasly actually made some contact at the start of that Grand Prix, so I think that's why Verstappen was so far back for a lot of that. He had to kind of recover, and he's done well to recover all the way to P5 there. Carlos Sainz does a stunning job from McLaren in P6. It's a shame to not see Alfa Romeo there, because Kimi was right up there with Carlos Sainz, I believe, but he actually had a DNF eventually in that Grand Prix, so a bit unlucky for the Alfa Romeo team there. The two Hasses have a solid position from outside the top 10 to get P7 and 8, and then Sergio Perez and Lando Norris finish out the top 10 there with the points paying positions at China. But all in all, not too bad for us. Some homework to do though, compared to you know, Sebastian, trying to figure out where that pace came from for him and where we lack some. I think it might have been a bit of setup tweaking needed. Maybe I needed a bit more downforce on that setup, because definitely I was understeering quite a fair bit on heavy fuel at the very start of that Grand Prix, but that could have just been tyre wear as well. But Hamilton then leads the championship, 56 points to Vettel's 54, so very close between those two, and then we're 4 points back from our teammate in P3 there, so still very, very solid. Magnussen does a great job still being the team leader at Haas in P4, ahead of Gasly and Verstappen, who are finally getting some points on the table, really. Bottas, bit of a shame for him, down to P7. Ricciardo somehow hangs on to P8 there with his podium from the first race. That's a prize podium. Carlos Sainz, though, will be nipping at his heels in P9 with 12 points. Perez and then Grosjean round out the top 12 in the championship so far. In the constructors, Ferrari, we as a team lead still by quite a decent margin, actually, so we're doing a really great job as a unit. Vettel and I, 104 points there. Mercedes 72. Red Bull finally get back up into where they probably should belong in P3, ahead of Haas, and then Renault still clamber on to P5, but only just ahead of McLaren. And like I said, very much a shame for Alfa Romeo Racing in qualifying so far. In the first phases of all the Grand Prix so far in this series, they've shown the pace to get to the points, but they've gone so unlucky there. DNF for Raikkonen, who was right up there in the points. I think last race, I think they caught up in traffic, and the same could be said of Australia, so kind of a shame to see them down in P8 compared to where they might have should be really at this point. And also Toro Rosso, surprised to see them not scoring yet, but for us at least as a team, looking good. But like I said, a little bit of homework to do after China here, going into the Azerbaijan Grand Prix to make sure we don't have a repeat of Vettel whooping our ass in episode number 4 of this 2019 Mod Career Series. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, be sure to hit that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you are new around here, subscribe for weekly follow-on content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.